welcome back. We're talking about giving a speech, and we're going to try to see how to develop a speech. I thought I would start with this. Here, you're not choosing your own topic, you've been given a topic. And that's what you're given. Grandma, what big teeth you have. So say to yourself, well, where did that title come from? We all know the story of Little Red Riding Hood, the little girl who takes a basket of food to her grandmother in the wood. Grandmother is sick. On the way, she meets a wolf. The wolf decides he would like to eat the little girl. He goes to Granny's house. He eats Granny first. Then he gets into bed and waits for Little Red Riding Hood. And then he eats her or tries to eat her. And the father arrives and saves the day. Usually the wolf is cut open and Granny comes out perfectly all right as well. So we know the story behind it. So what you're saying to yourself is, this is part of fairy stories and the familiar story of Little Red Riding Hood. Your whole audience will know that. So your first step is you are asked to do research. What are you going to research on? The second thing that you have to do is synthesize, analyze, and comment. Synthesize is put it together. Analyze is break it up into pieces, and comment is make some kind of statement about whatever it is that you've researched. So now you're saying to yourself, what can I research? What can I pull together for my speech? What will give me enough to impress the person who's evaluating me? What you might like to do is say to yourself, this idea of children being vulnerable is only too familiar to people who live in South Africa. Children are the victims of crime in South Africa all the time. Children are murdered all the time. Now, you need to find information. You need to find research. Obviously, you will start with the current newspapers, but you also need to go back a little bit, because if you just tell your audience about what was in the paper yesterday or last week, they will all know it because everybody will be talking about it. So you need to go back a little bit. And the horrifying thing is, in South Africa, if we're looking at children who are vulnerable, there are only too many examples. So you might go back to 2005, you might go back even earlier. You will remember, or you will research, examples of when children have been attacked in their own homes, when children have been abducted, when babies have been taken out of hospitals. As I said, there's horrifyingly too much information. But go back a little bit, because your audience will have forgotten some of them. They might say, yeah, I remember that. Oh, yeah, that was terrible. But you'll be able to remind them rather than, yeah, I read that in the paper yesterday. Then the next thing is, look at what experts say. So go to people like the departments of criminology or the departments of security sciences in our universities and find out, what do those experts say? Get some quotations from them. I was looking at things like, we have children going missing every week from our townships. So take that and then try to prove it. Or missing children are being put into prostitution, and try to find examples of that. Or missing children are being used for muti murders. So find examples of that. Then you might feel, hang on, this is making South Africa sound as if we are just the worst possible country in the world. So look outside South Africa. And I was looking, for example, in London. There was a case in September 2002. A boy's body was found in the River Thames, and they said it was a muti killing. I also found that millions of children in Britain are on the brink of poverty. And what was interesting is that the Prime Minister of Britain was actually living in one of those areas where the children are suffering from huge poverty. So it's not just South Africa. So you're making that point and you're bringing in other research. find statistics. Facts coming out of South Africa, facts coming out of the rest of the world. Be specific. Use lots of details. What kind of abuse? And so you're looking at child abuse in a number of different ways. Why don't you look at the South African police services? They will give you reports about children. And you'll get lots of those details very quickly. Then you analyze it. You try to look at why and who and what is it telling us. And you might eventually end up by saying something like this. As we review all of this information, we cannot but feel sickened at what adults do to children. Like the wolf, they prey on vulnerable children. As Little Red Riding Hood says, Grandma, what big teeth you have. And you've tied it in your conclusion back to the topic, showing how you've interpreted that topic. Obviously, a lot of work still needs to be done, but I hope that I've given you some food for thought around creating a marvelous and perfect speech, and that you enjoy doing your speech making. From me, bye-bye.